You heard what they said. Not maybe. Not almost. You heard it clearly. They made the comment. They gave the promise. They agreed to the plan. They took the shot. Then later, when the moment becomes inconvenient, they look at you with a calm face and say, "I never said that. You must have misunderstood." Now your brain starts working against you. You start replaying the conversation. Did I hear it wrong? Did I miss something? Am I overreacting? And while you are busy checking your own memory, they are already taking control of the room. That is the first trap. Then when you push back, they do not answer the point. They study your tone. They study your face. They say, "Wow, you're getting really defensive right now." Now the topic is no longer what they did. The topic is you, your reaction, your delivery, your attitude. And if you keep talking, every word you say gets filtered through that label, defensive. Then comes the final cover. You point out the result. You explain the damage, you name the problem. And they lean back and say, "I was just trying to help." Now they are no longer defending the action. They are hiding behind the intention. That is how verbal control works. It is not always loud. It is not always obvious. Most people think manipulation looks like pressure, threats, or anger. Wrong. The cleaner version is much more dangerous. It sounds reasonable. It sounds calm. It sounds like they are simply correcting you. But underneath the surface, the same system is running every time. Move the spotlight away from the issue. Put it onto your memory, your tone, or your attitude. Then make you defend yourself instead of forcing them to answer. That is the battlefield. And if you do not understand the battlefield, you will keep fighting the wrong war. So today, you are getting 3 counters, not motivational quotes. Not emotional speeches, 3 verbal weapons, short, calm, mechanical. The first phrase is, "I never said that. You must have misunderstood." This is not just denial. This is a reality denial maneuver. The purpose is not only to escape responsibility. The purpose is to make you question the reliability of your own perception. Think of it like a chess move. They move one piece and suddenly your entire position becomes unstable. You stop focusing on what happened. You start proving that you are allowed to trust your own memory. That is exactly where they want you, because the second you start saying, "No, I swear you said it," or "I remember it clearly," or "Why are you acting like this?" you have entered their frame. Now the hidden question becomes, can you prove your memory is perfect? And nobody can prove that perfectly. Memories is not a recording device. So they create just enough uncertainty for the argument to become foggy. That fog is useful to them. In the fog, they can rewrite the story. At work, this looked like someone agreeing to a deadline, then later saying, "I never committed to that." In dating, it looks like someone making a promise, then acting surprised when you remember it. In a family conversation, it looks like someone insulting you quietly, then denying the wording when others are nearby. The amateur response is to argue about memory. The unbothered response is to lock the frame. You say, "I'm confident in what I heard." If your position is changed, you can clarify it now. That line matters. Every part has a function. "I'm confident in what I heard." That shuts down the attack on your perception. You are not asking for permission to trust yourself. You are stating your position. Then, if your position is changed, this gives them a clean exit without letting them rewrite the past. You are saying, in effect, you do not get to call my memory defective. But you are free to admit that your position is different now. Then, you can clarify it now. That moves the burden back to them, not your memory. Their clarification, not your confusion, their update. Now they have only 3 options. They can explain, they can correct themselves, or they can keep denying and look like they are avoiding the point. Notice what you did not do. You did not beg them to admit it. You did not argue about every word. You did not hand them your memory and ask them to grade it. You stayed with the structure. That is the first rule of emotional armor. Do not put your perception on trial just because someone wants to escape the record. The second phrase is, "Wow, you're getting really defensive right now." This one is more sophisticated because it does not attack your facts, it attacks your credibility. This is a meta attack. Instead of responding to the issue, they comment on the way you are responding. Your tone, your posture, your intensity, your face, your timing, anything except the actual point. And once the word defensive enters the room, the system changes. Now every sentence you speak can be dismissed as proof. If you speak calmly, they say you are trying too hard to sound calm. If you speak firmly, they say you are proving their point. If you explain, they say you are being defensive again. It is a trap with no clean exit if you accept the label. This happens constantly in group conversations. Someone says something inaccurate. You correct it. They do not answer the correction. They say, "Why are you so defensive?" Now the group is watching your reaction instead of evaluating the claim. The spotlight moved, that is the move. They changed the subject from content to emotional presentation. And most people lose right here. They say, "I'm not defensive." Bad move, because now you are defending yourself against being defensive. That is a loop, and loops are how people drain your power. The unbothered counter is, "I'm addressing the point directly. If you disagree, specify what part is incorrect." Again, every piece has a job. I'm addressing the point directly. That rejects the emotional frame. You are not discussing your mood. You are not discussing your tone. You are identifying the task. The task is the point, then, if you disagree, this gives them a clear path back into rational argument. You are not blocking disagreement. You are inviting it, but you add the condition. Specify what part is incorrect. That is where vague control dies, because vague labels are easy. Specific arguments are expensive. If they say, "You are defensive," that costs them nothing. But if they have to say, "This sentence is wrong," or "This fact is incorrect," or "This part of your reasoning does not work," now they need substance. Most people who use this phrase do not want substance. They want atmosphere. They want the room to feel like you are unstable. They want everyone to sense that maybe you are the problem. But when you ask for specifics, you drag the conversation back onto solid ground. No fog, no labels, no personality analysis, just the claim. This is why short lines beat long explanations. A long explanation gives them material. A short line gives them a wall. Remember this. You do not beat a credibility attack by proving you are calm. You beat it by refusing to make your calmness the subject. The point is the subject. The facts are the subject. The claim is the subject. Everything else is theater. The very thing else is theater. I was just trying to help. This phrase is one of the cleanest shields people use because it sounds moral. It sounds generous. It sounds harmless. And if you challenge it, you risk looking unreasonable. They gave unwanted criticism in front of people. They interfered with something they did not understand. They embarrassed you and called it advice. They made the situation worse, then wrapped the damage in good intentions. I was just trying to help. Now the system shifts again. The issue is no longer the outcome. The issue becomes their intention. And intention is the perfect hiding place. You cannot measure it. You cannot verify it. You cannot open their head and inspect it. So if the conversation becomes, "But my intention was good," they have moved the discussion into a place where they control all the evidence because they are the only witness. This is called intent shielding. The action caused a problem. But instead of discussing the problem, they ask you to judge their soul, and most people fall for it. They say, "I know, but poor. I understand you were trying to help, poor. I'm not saying you're a bad person." Now they are defending themselves against a charge they never made. The original issue disappears. The action disappears. The result disappears. Everything becomes a debate about whether the other person meant well. That is a useless debate. The unbothered response is, intent noted. The outcome didn't work. What was your specific objective? This is cold, because it is fair. You are not arguing with their stated intention. You are not calling them evil. You are not giving them a dramatic reaction. You simply say, intent noted, meaning, I heard the claim. I recorded it. It does not end the conversation. Then you move to the measurable part at, the outcome didn't work. That brings the conversation back to reality, not what they meant, what happened. Not what they claim, what resulted. Then the final blade. What was your specific objective? That question forces definition. If they were truly helping, they should be able to explain the objective. What were they trying to improve? What result were they aiming for? What problem were they solving? What was the plan? Most fake help collapses under that question. Because it was never a plan, it was interference, it was criticism. It was control. It was a way to position themselves above you while pretending to serve you. Imagine a family dinner. You mention a new project, Someone interrupts and says, "Are you sure you're capable of that?" The table gets quiet. Later, when you confront them, they say, "I was just trying to help." No help has an objective. Help improves the situation. Help does not create public doubt and then demand moral immunity. So you say, "Intent noted. The outcome didn't work. What was your specific objective?" Now they have to move from moral fog to operational clarity. And that is where weak moves fail. This is the larger lesson behind all three phrases. Manipulative people want you defending the wrong object. With the first phrase, they want you defending your memory. With the second phrase, they want you defending your tone. With the third phrase, they want you defending your right to object. Do you see the pattern? None of these phrases answer the issue. They redirect the issue. That is why being unbothered is not about acting emotionless. It is about refusing bad assignments. You do not accept the assignment to prove your memory is valid. You do not accept the assignment to prove your tone is acceptable. You do not accept the assignment to prove their intention was not enough. You keep the conversation where it belongs, on the statement, on the claim, on the result, on the objective. That is frame control. And frame control is social power. The person who controls the frame decides what the conversation is about. If they make it about your reaction, you lose oxygen. If they make it about your attitude, you lose precision. If they make it about their intention, you lose the outcome. So your job is simple. Return the conversation to the object, not the drama, the object. What was said? What changed? What is incorrect? What was the objective? This is why calm people become hard to control, not because they feel nothing, but because they do not chase every bait that gets thrown into the room. A reactive person follows the bait. A controlled person follows the structure. That is the difference. You can test this immediately. The next time someone says, "I never said that," do not argue like a witness on trial. Say, "I'm confident in what I heard." If your position has changed, you can clarify it now. The next time someone says, "You're getting defensive," do not defend your emotional state. Say, "I'm addressing the point directly." If you disagree, specify what part is incorrect. The next time someone says, "I was just trying to help," do not get pulled into judging their character. Say, "Intent noted. The outcome didn't work. What was your specific objective?" Then stop. Silence is part of the weapon. Do not rush to soften the line. Do not decorate it. Do not add 5 paragraphs of explanation because the room feels tense. Let the sentence sit there. A precise sentence needs room to work. Most people cannot handle that silence because silence exposes structure. If their argument is real, they can answer. If it is a tactic, it starts falling apart. That is the point. You are not trying to dominate every conversation. You are not trying to humiliate anyone. You are not trying to win applause. You are building a system around yourself. A system that says, reality does not get rewritten just because someone is uncomfortable. My credibility does not vanish because someone labels my reaction. Your intention does not erase the outcome. That is emotional armor, cold, clear, difficult to penetrate. And once people realize they cannot move you with denial, labels, or moral cover, they start choosing their words more carefully, because the old buttons no longer work. If you want to master psychological control, study the frame. Study what people are trying to make the conversation about. Mare to ton, intention, guilt, confusion. Then refuse the wrong battlefield. Sutspur to the unbothered edge. This is where emotional armor gets built. And before you leave, answer this. Which phrase has been used on you the most? "I never said that." "You're getting defensive." Or, "I was just trying to help." Drop the number. Then remember the rule. Do not defend the wrong battlefield.